Here we go. Thank you for inviting me to do Work-Life Selfie. I am Sophie Vandebroek. I was born and raised in Belgium, and I went to KU Leuven to receive my master's degree in electromechanical engineering, burgerlijk ingenieur. I then worked 1 year at EMAC when it first opened up, and then 30 years ago, my husband and I came to the United States, where I received my PhD degree, my doctorate degree in electrical engineering at Cornell University. During that time, our first child was born, and Elena is now an amazing engineer herself, working in Belgium. I then briefly worked at IBM Research. IBM Research at the time was the best in the world in my field. And while I worked at IBM, our son was born. Our oldest son was born, and he's now a biologist, also working in Belgium. But unfortunately, the IBM Research Lab was about a 7-hour drive from my home, and with 2 little kids, it became too complicated. And so I was lucky that Xerox had a really great research lab right in the same city where my husband worked, in Rochester, New York. So 25 years ago, I joined Xerox Research Labs, and Xerox PARC, by the way, was at that time, and still is, an amazing research lab. So it was one of the top 3 labs in the world. So I chose for excellence again. And shortly after I joined research, my youngest son was born. Today I'm Chief Technology Officer at Xerox, and in this role I now have the privilege to lead the global research labs, which include not only Xerox PARC, but also fascinating, amazing labs in Europe, in India, and in Canada. What I love most about my job is collaborating with amazingly diverse, creative, and entrepreneurial people all over the world. And together we co-innovate with clients to create the future of work, the future of healthcare, the future of cities, the future of energy, to name a few, with the goal to not only make our clients more successful, but also make a difference to the world. So as you can see, I have my hands full. So now let's switch to my recommendations on how to balance work and life. To me, it all comes down to 3 very simple concepts. Number 1, make smart choices. Really find out where you want to spend your precious time. Find out what is really, really important to you. And then as Sheryl Sandberg in her book Lean In says, throw yourself 100% on those top priorities, such that you can truly achieve your dreams. And then finally, finding time to lean in means you need to lean out. Just like in lean manufacturing, you have to find out where you can be lean and where you want to be lean. So say no to requests, simplify all aspects of your life, and then outsource everything else. So obviously this sounds pretty simple, right? Make smart choices, lean in, and then lean out everything else. But by the way, this also applies to both men and women. And so obviously these smart choices, with number 1, these smart choices are very personal to each and every one of us. But let me illustrate what they meant to me. So number 1, I love my work. Early in my career, my dream was to be the best in the world, known for the work I was doing in microelectronics. I wanted to invent, I wanted to publish in referee journals, I wanted to present at top conferences, and so I was really blessed that this dream came through early on. And then once I joined Xerox, my dream became to lead this world-class global research organization. And again, I am really lucky because I achieved this dream a decade ago, 10 years ago. With no doubt though, and I repeat, a much higher priority than my work are my 3 amazing children. This was a no-brainer to me. Kids always top priority. So my dream for the kids was to make sure that they became happy, confident, resilient, and caring adults. So knock wood, there were many bumps along the road, but I'm hopeful that my dream is becoming reality. So these are and have always been my top 2 priorities. However, I quickly realized that I could not achieve these 2 dreams if I did not, first and foremost, take care of myself. I just cannot think clearly, or I cannot be passionate, or more importantly, be patient when I'm tired or when I'm stressed. So it all starts with taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself both physically as well as emotionally. So I needed to find time to sleep, to exercise, to eat healthy. And as for my emotional health, to me it was very important to have one really best friend. And so I was so happy that my husband was also my best friend, which obviously simplified things enormously. So in order to find time for my smart choices, which in my case were my work, my kids, and my health, and in order to lean in on those 3, I had to lean out everything else. And so we simplified and we outsourced. Let me tell you some examples of each. So for example, simplification. My husband and I lived in a simple home. We took simple vacations such as camping trips. We did not keep a large circle of friends. In fact, we almost never had anyone over. We planned totally free weekends, no commitments in the weekend. And we skipped most mandatory necessities such as writing Christmas cards or thank you notes. So that really simplified and freed up a lot of time. But equally important was then outsourcing all these routine jobs that have to happen to just run a household. And since we didn't have any family in the US that could help out, and we didn't have much money to hire a bunch of people, we asked our sitter who watched our 3 kids to do everything else on my list of things that I was not going to spend time on. So she cleaned our home, she did our laundry, she went grocery shopping. And in fact, this doesn't need to be expensive. If someone else shops for you, let me give you an example. If someone else shops for you, it is less expensive because they follow the strict shopping list. If I go shopping, the few times I go shopping, I very easily, I see Belgian chocolates, put it in the cart, or I see amazing olives or good cheese. And pretty soon, these items that I add to my cart, my shopping cart, or my shopping baskets, add up to way more than what it costs to ask a student or ask somebody to go shopping a couple hours for you. So my husband loved cooking, which was great, as that was also my list of things I wasn't going to do, and I loved to eat. And no, we were not rich at all at the time. We had good incomes. We were both starting engineers. But by simplification, we found the money to outsource, and we found balance. But then the balance broke. 20 years ago, my husband died suddenly. It's still hard. I was left alone with 3 kids, under 8 years old. I needed to focus on my kids because my dream for them obviously remained the same. It just had become much harder to achieve. I also needed to keep my dream at work. Working was my shelter. At work, I could forget everything else. I did consider for a moment to move back to Belgium, give it all up, be with family, have them take care of us, but that would disrupt the remaining constant things in my children's life. It would disrupt their amazing Sheryl, their amazing sitter. It would disrupt their school, it would disrupt their home, their friends, everything else they knew, and I didn't want to do that up to them at that point in their life. So in addition, as I mentioned, I didn't want to give up my dream. So in fact, I chose to continue what they call in the US, climb the corporate ladder. I don't like that word, but climb the corporate ladder. Because in addition, then I needed even more time for the kids, and I needed to make sure I stayed healthy, right? So with all of that, I had to figure out how to create more time. So as some of you might have guessed, very quickly, in addition to all the other household chores, our sitter learned how to cook. And many of all the future sitters, until my kids went to high school, they all learned how to cook in my house. I got rid of a lot of material things that require a lot of time to maintain, and I can tell you that don't make you happy. At work, I got down on the time. I found time by making meetings shorter. An hour meeting became 45 minutes, a 30-minute meeting became 20 minutes. And by doing so, I could take care of a lot of actions in between meetings and get it out of the way before going home at the end of the day. So I said no to many requests that were not essential at achieving my dream. And you all know these requests come at us constantly. I found balance again. I spent my time with my kids, I spent time sleeping, exercising, and I was truly enjoying my ever broader responsibility at work. And by the way, as you get more responsibility, you also have more control over your own time. So I could schedule my time better, which clearly helped with fitting in my children in my schedule. And so, although I had made, the years passed, and I had made truly wonderful girlfriends, they're amazing, but I miss having this very special friend. And so I can tell you that if you don't have this special person in your life, it gets really, really lonely. Somebody you can whine to, somebody who really you can pour your heart out with. So luckily, I figured out how to fit dating into my schedule. And my now husband and I lived 6 hours apart when we started going out. You can again say, wow, that's pretty complicated. No, it's actually simple. This actually worked very well. I was happy to have the best friend without needing to make time each and every day for him. So after about 5 years of long distance dating, we married. Once the older kids moved to college. And I was so blessed because in addition to my own kids, 3 additional kids came with the wedding. And so we have an amazing family, and all 6 are starting their independent lives now. So I got very, very lucky getting a second chance. And as you might have guessed, my new Spanish husband is also an amazing cook. So let me summarize it, right? There are 3 key principles. Number 1, make smart choices. Decide what is important to you. Decide where you want to spend your time. The number 2, lean in so you can feel good about your choices. Definitely lean in. And then number 3, lean out everything else. Say no, simplify, outsource. So smart choices, lean in, and more importantly, lean out. Anyway, good luck and enjoy the rest of your workshop. Thank you.